Gary Franchi here for the Next News Network. I'm sitting with Robert Scott Bell. We are at the Chicago Cannabis Conference. History is being made here, and Robert Scott Bell is at the forefront of this history. He's got a booth here. He's transmitting the message to the world right here from Navy Pier in Chicago. He also gave a keynote speech just a few hours ago. I got tremendous reception. My parents are here. My mother has cancer. She is getting the answers that she needs. There are people here, families, doctors, industry. This is it. This is the beginning of the green veil that is falling in America. You're witnessing it. Robert, tell us what are your thoughts on the national implications for health, for freedom, for liberty. What does this mean for America, Robert?
Well, Gary, it's good to be with you, and it is a big deal that's happening, not only here in Chicago, which is not a fully legal state for this plant. It's a kind of a test pilot program that they're running here, but the bigger picture is more of the education onto the uses of this plant. And of course, a lot of interest is medical or medicinal because of the failures of the modern medical monopoly based on petrochemical synthetic FDA-approved patent medicines. So there's a tremendous interest when you talk, and I'm sure you've interviewed some of the parents, for instance, of children who have been helped tremendously by this plant. But you talk about the falling of the green veil. Kind of the focus a little bit of my lecture today was in relation to that history that we have not been taught, the history that had been rewritten, that had written hemp out of the American marketplace for just about anything and everything. And so when I talk about, for instance, the Flexner Report of 1910, we recognize that there were some wealthy industrialists that wanted to monopolize medicine. When we talk about the issue of hemp, we look at William Randolph Hearst and his newspaper empire, and the fact that he owned millions of acres of forest land that he would convert the pulp into paper, and that hemp could compete tremendously with that because it was much more efficient and much more renewable. So the production of paper would not be as valuable for him and his forest empire, so to speak. And so we see throughout history it's repeating again, or at least it has many times, where the wealthy elite will buy the favor of government or government regulators and regulate out the competition, or in this case, regulate out an entire species of plant. That is cannabis sativa, cannabis indica, and this is used for hundreds, if not thousands of years for many purposes, nutritional, etc. And we're learning more and more medically about what's known as the endocannabinoid system and how its neglect has resulted in a tremendous decline in the health of the people of the West. And the resurgence in the research outside of America has put, I think, a shameful perspective on the medical community here who has not looked in, who has abandoned this plant. This is a tremendous opportunity now for a lot of people, a lot of fronts, whether it be medically, whether it be nutritionally, whether it be economic and business oriented. And what brought us here was this group called My Compassion, and they're out of Michigan. And mycompassion.org has really reframed the debate as one of compassion, a compassionate debate. So to argue against cannabis for those in need means you argue against compassion. And I think it's brilliant, and they're doing great work. The heart of healing is happening here.
Now, Robert, my mother has cancer, and it is bladder cancer metastasized to her lungs. And you hooked me up with the guys over there at Hemp Meds, and they have just supplied my mother with the high octane version of their CBD oil.
Yes.
And you've also got a new book out called Unlocking the Power to Heal. Now you and I are going to go through. Show us the book there. Unlock the Power to Heal, and you and I are going to try to chart the success that my mother is going to have, through her own taking of the CBD oil, through the adjustment of her own diet. I mean, she's gone through chemo, and she's had some side effects that are just, you know what happens when you do chemo. So tell us about your book. Tell us about the power of CBD oil in combination with the other selenium and other types of supplements that can help boost the immune system and help the body heal itself.
Right. So in your mother's case, having been through traditional chemotherapy, which we know it can kill cancer, but unfortunately it also kills the healthy cells around it. What we're finding, like you mentioned selenium and other elements, now CBD, it plays a role of protecting, like a neuroprotectant, but also a cellular protectant that doesn't protect the cancer cells. It protects your healthy cells. So in addition to the defense, if you decide to go a traditional chemotherapeutic route, you now have the ability to use something in conjunction with it that would minimize perhaps some of the collateral damage to your own cells, which is the problem. When people die of cancer, more often they die of the treatment for that cancer. And that's what we want to prevent for your mother and others out there listening. So we've talked also about corresponding elements beyond selenium like silica. And I think this is very important because you mentioned the word metastasis. That's where the cancer can grow beyond a tumor and spread to other areas of the body. Metastasis happens by, think of chewing like a Pac-Man, chewing through the connective tissue. The CBD is going to be helpful here, but the silica that we've talked about perhaps before, the trace mineral silica, is critical for restoring the integrity, elasticity, and strength of the connective tissue. So it's not a one thing does everything, because we get very excited about things like CBD. We don't want to say it's a panacea, but it works with a profound system that's been ignored by a lot of doctors over a lot of years, a lot of decades now. So working with these other elements, these minerals, we now have another aspect, another component to the, if you want to say, the battle against cancer, but really the restoration of genuine health, the proper functioning and metabolism of every living healthy cell in the body. And when you see these kids that are overcoming leukemia and brain cancer, and you say, my goodness, the only thing different they ended up adding in was the CBD, you know you have a lot of potential for healing. But we want to track along the way the healing that may be evidenced via different scans that modern medicine provides. And I believe we're going to see good results here.
All right, well, here we are, me and Robert at the Chicago Cannabis Conference. Robert, thanks for letting me know about it.
Yes,
and I know I was like, oh man, I got to come out from Aurora to shoot this, but I'm really glad that I came. It was absolutely worth it. Such a wealth of knowledge, and well, my wife's here, my son's here, and we're getting wiser by meeting all these people and educating ourselves about the truth about CBD, the truth about cannabis, and hopefully you are getting the same type of education through these videos and through the interviews I'm providing you today. Subscribe to the channel, share this video, check the channel for others. We got a lot of videos, and go to get Robert's book, Unlock the Power to Heal. Gary Franchi signing off for the Next News Network.